Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Sales Mastery course. You are in for a treat. Samantha Varner has been a member of NIA. This is her third year, and she has helped numerous amounts of people. I think we counted like 10, close to 10 that are just NIA members. So you're going to learn from the best. Crush profit. That's what she's all about. So if you want more profit for your business, listen up and hold on tight, because she is an ass kicker, but gentle. But gentle. It's good to see some of our members on to support you, Samantha, and just do your thing, girl. And y'all can catch the other. She's done this 2 other times, so you can catch the recording of her other sessions that she's done in the video library. So you're on, Samantha. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, no worries, Helen. Thank you for that. You're right. I have been around in NIA now for 3 years, and I'm really excited to get an opportunity to talk to you guys again about profitability. So as business owners, we think about all the time a whole slew of different things, right? But at the end of the day, if we're not making profit, then if nothing else, we're very frustrated, right? We're not taking a paycheck home and probably getting a little resentful of this business that we're operating with. So today, my goal is going to be give you a couple of tips that you can actually implement right away and get yourself started in the degree of more profitability than what you have right now. I will be sharing my screen. There'll be some slides up there, mainly to keep me on track more than anything else. And if you have questions or you want to make a comment, I welcome you to do that. At the end, I've given time. We absolutely have time for you guys to ask me specific questions. So if there are things in your business that are plaguing you right now, or that come up over the course of this conversation, I guarantee, first and foremost, you're not the only person in this Zoom room that has that problem. So be bold, be brave, put it out there, because the person next to you in the Brady Bunch squares is going to appreciate the fact that you did. All of us are struggling with similar things at similar times in our business. And so the more help you can get, the more you ask me questions, the more you engage, the more value you're going to come out of this session today with, okay? So every once in a while, throw me a thumbs up or an emoji, or just yell out like, yes, I'm awake, because once I go to the slides, I can never see you guys. And so I'm always like, I hope they're listening. Is everybody still here? So feel free to engage. I'm always here for it, okay? All right, now I will screen share and then we'll get going. So, not great at his tech, haha, no, okay. All right, let's talk a little bit about me. So before we get started, so that you have an idea of what my background is and what my experience is, I have been now 14 years in PR and marketing, finance strategy, and business development. I used to work in a corporate job in multiple different facets and did that in Canada. Then I moved with my family to Australia, got all requalified to do that again. And lo and behold, my husband came home and said, hey, how do you feel about Texas? And I'm like, well, it's not Australia or Canada, which is where I can work. Cool. So I ended up in Texas. And so we've been here in Texas now for 10 years. But at that point, that's when I decided to actually start my own business instead of continuing to just requalify into the corporate world in terms of finance. So I have a lot of experience helping business owners make more money from all sorts of different facets. And that's what I decided to do when I started my own business, was help business owners make more money right from the beginning using those skills. So I kind of combine the PR and marketing promotional side of things with finance and business development, and all of that together means you should be profitable and growing your business. So who am I? I have 4 kids. They used to be my tiny humans, but now 50% of them are bigger than I am. They are 16 down to almost 11. I've been doing this profit coaching gig now for 6 years, and I host the podcast, She Needs Grit. So if you're ever looking for more of me in your ears when it comes to building your business, go on any of the podcast platforms and listen to She Needs Grit. it is there, and it talks exactly about what we talk about day to day on these presentations. It's the same sort of material that's helpful. At the end of the day, I think with a show of a thumbs up, the majority of us have started businesses because we want more freedom for time and more money freedom, right? We want to be able to make more money in less time, ideally, or at least equivalent time. And the reality is, a huge portion of us as entrepreneurs aren't even taking a salary. So we get into these businesses thinking that's what we want to create for our lives. And then the reality sets in, and it's maybe a little bit harder than we anticipated. So what we want to talk about today is how can we get from where we are right now to that goal that we had when we started our business when it comes to finances, profitability, making a salary that actually gets all the way home into your jeans. That, of course, is when it makes a difference to us as individuals. Okay, so we're going to hop straight into this. The number one tip I'm going to say to you today in terms of increasing your profitability in the shortest window possible is enhancing your customer experience. And enhancing your customer experience isn't just what it looks like to actually deliver the product at the end of the day. But in fact, it is as soon as you start putting your information out there, communicating with potential clients, all the way through to when we get to the point where we're offboarding people, where they're no longer our clients, and we're still creating a seamless transition for them, all the way through those whole steps. Right now, most of my clients are struggling in this area. I am noticing that we understand the service that we're providing. We're probably very good at the actual service. So doing that client work, I have to create a deliverable and I have to do the work to create that deliverable, and then I'm giving it to a client. What is probably happening, though, at least some of the time, is missed communication, misunderstandings between clients or potential clients, falling off and dropping things on the follow-up standpoint. So when you think of all the people that you've ever met that have expressed even a minute level of interest in your business, there is a huge portion of those people that have fallen through the cracks in some way. They're either that pile of business cards that are on your desk right in front of you where we're sitting, or they're the people that you're like, oh yeah, I spoke with Tom and he was mildly interested, and then I forgot Tom existed altogether until Sam just said that, and now I'm like, oh crap, I need to write that on a Post-it, right? How many of you are in that situation where you can think of at least a couple, if not a handful of people that should have been touched in some way that we've dropped the ball on? Anybody in that position? Okay, yeah. Okay, so what do you have to do in your business to streamline that process? What do you have to do in your business to better capture those people, better put them into whatever your marketing funnel is? It doesn't matter what your marketing strategy is, right? What your promotion strategy is for your business. What matters more is whether or not you have a way to track those people right from when they connect with you originally all the way through the process. And it takes effort, right? It takes, one of the things that I do, I was just looking to see if I have an example. I don't. One of the things that I will do is if I meet you in person and you hand me a physical business card at this point, I will write a note on the back. I will find out from you that you just got your house painted. I will find out from you that you've got kids similar age to mine. I will find out from you that, yes, you're also frustrated with 13-year-old boys because they're crazy, or whatever it might be, those connection points that we make in a conversation. I now am 44. I am no longer able to keep all of that information in my head and reliably remember it when I meet you somewhere down the road. But if I do that and I write it down on a business card and then I enter it into my CRM, I am going to remember those things. So what that means is when I have conversations with you or when I email you something directly, I can pop in a little, hey, how's it going with the team? Or are Air Jordans as big a deal at your house as they are at my house? Or whatever that might be, that connection point that we've come up with. That makes all of us feel really special. That makes us feel like we care. And the beginning of that is just putting that in place, right? Giving yourself the opportunity to remember those things. I would argue that almost everybody that's on here and putting so much time and effort into building their business and doing it through networking in particular, you do care. You do remember those things. Those things are important to you. So start to make that systemized in your business and see how that starts to change how you interact with clients, right? Does anybody have any questions around that specifically, or any circumstances they've dealt with in the past in regards to this? I can't see you guys, so just yell out if you have a thought.
And also, yeah, feel free to unmute yourself or load up the chat.
Okay, so you guys are all really good at remembering things. I'm impressed.
No, I'm still on the hunt for the perfect CRM.
Oh, aren't we all, right? I think honestly, my recommendation on CRMs is always, it's the one you use, right? So whether it's an Excel spreadsheet or whether it's a Rolodex on your desk, or whether it's something that's all the bells and whistles, right? It is the one that you use, and we have to train ourselves to just get in there and use it to its most capacity, right?
Yep.
There never seems to be the right one. Go ahead.
This is Tamika. I just wanted to say that the point you made about like finding out something about your potential client in terms of like connecting with them, I'm finding that to be more and more true. I have a nonprofit organization, and what I'm learning is that people invest into people. And so when you just said that again, it just reiterated that getting to know people and knowing something about them will cause them to want to connect more with you than you just trying to sell something to them. So thank you for bringing that up.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's one of the pieces that I think I share with clients in particular when they have the feeling that there's 10,000 people in their same industry, so are providing a similar service. I think realtors always come to mind, that there's lots of realtors all looking to do the same thing, right? They're helping you buy or sell a home. And we don't buy from somebody because they have a fancy sign. We don't buy from somebody because they have a decal on their truck. We buy from somebody because there is some sort of intimate connection made between that other human being. There's a connection where you're like, I recognize you, I see you. We are living a portion of the same life. That's why people buy from you. They buy because of who you are as a human, not because of what it says on your business card. So the better we can get at actually caring and actually finding things out and asking questions that have nothing to do with the sale, but just truly because you want to get to know this other human being that is in front of you, the better. Okay. So the other piece about this that I have here is surprising clients with unexpected bonuses or personalized offers. This can go a really long way if you have this available in your business. Not everybody will have this, just depending on the nature of their business. But saying to somebody, I am personally inviting you to this specific offer, and you are truly specifically inviting them. Don't BS about this, right? We want to be legit. We want to say, hey, this is to just my clients who have been with me for a year. This is for just clients that have gone through my programs. This is something for people just in the NIA space, something along those lines. But people feel valued when you think of them individually. I know that we are in this period and system of automation, and I strongly believe in automation in your business, but there is something so great about getting somebody's email that is actually just talking to me. And it's not just sounding like it's just talking to me, but it's actually an individualized email with information just for me because they were thinking about just me. So I want you to think about ways in which your business, you can just step it up a little bit, right? 1% better in this area will create greater profit. And it does because people will be purchasing or repurchasing from you more frequently when they feel that kind of love from you, if we want to call it that. Okay. So in terms of action steps on this, I want you to make sure you have a client customer database. I want you to use it to its full potential and lean into using it, okay? Make sure you take advantage of the note system, but don't be like the doctors. They come into the room after they have your chart on the wall, you know, that little spot where they put it on the wall and you hear them pick it up. They don't even look at it. They come in the door and they ask you all the questions that are already answered in there. Take the time to review the notes before you hop on a call with a client, and then shout out, how was your spring break? How did that go? What was the vacation like? Did you have trouble with your flights? Whatever it might be, ask the question. Take the time to do that. It'll make a big difference. Implement a loyalty program. There are a lot of businesses where you can implement some sort of benefit for being with you for a long time. It is going to take a bit of creativity depending on what your business is and how it's structured, how that could look, but it is worthwhile doing that and saying to clients, I want to keep you. You are a valuable member of my client database. How can I show you that, right? How can I show you that with a discount on your third purchase or something along those lines that are going to just make them feel better? The third thing is train staff on exceptional customer service. Now, everybody talks about exceptional customer service, but what I need you to do if you haven't done this already is I want you to define what exceptional customer service looks like to your business. What does that mean from the original greeting, the tone of people on the phone, the way that you respond to emails, the sign off on emails? What is it that makes exceptional customer service look like that in your business? This is different than how everybody else does it, but that standard and that care in training your people to also deliver in that way will make a big difference moving forward as well, because they get that consistent level of customer service no matter who they talk to, whether it's me, whether it's my assistant. It should all sound the same. It should all come across the same with the same level of warmth or ass kicking or whatever it is that they get from me. I want that to exist across the board in my company. Okay. So that's tip number one, is really looking at that customer service standpoint and seeing by doing those things how you can increase your profitability. Tip number two. Okay. And the first point on here, I tell you guys, I say this every single time I talk about profitability. When is the last time you raised your rates? And for those of you that are groaning right now and you're like, oh, I don't want to, I will lose clients. I have all of this thought that comes up when Sam says, raise your rates. I guarantee to you, you could also raise your rates and get more clients. You can raise your rates and your clients will say, yeah, no problem. Not a problem at all. Of course, I will pay that. You will be surprised, right? And it is an immediate jump in profitability because nothing else has changed. The cost for you to provide said service is the same. It just is being brave and having that conversation and figuring out what that looks like. But I really want to give you that push to say, if you haven't raised your rates in a long time, or even arguably in 12 months, if you need help with that conversation, I can help you with the wording, but it's time to do that. The other ways, so I'm just going to move our little people here. Okay, so some of the other things I want you to think about in your business, assuming, of course, that you have control over these things, is how are you speaking about your rates? How are you speaking about the cost of your services? And how are you selling that to a client? Are you talking about value-based pricing? Are you talking about the benefits that your service provides clients? Are you being very clear that that is answering the actual problems that they are saying they have? We sometimes will get in our heads about how we speak about our business and we think we're solving X problem for a client. And the reality is that's not the words or the way that they would describe that problem. So I want you to really go into that and go back through reviews that you have, go back through testimonials you have from clients, and make sure that when you're selling to the next versions of clients, that you're using the same language as your current clients. That it'll be an easier sell if it sounds like, oh, that's exactly what I was thinking. That's exactly what I needed. That is exactly what I was looking for. Sometimes we can miss the mark on that a little bit. The other option for increasing or looking at your pricing strategy is bundling your services. Is there a window of time in this season of your business where it's a bit slower? Is there a way to bundle things together and get most of the money that you would have gotten for two separate? Is there a time where it makes perfect sense that somebody would want to, what's a good example? That somebody would want to do pressure washing and window washing all at the same time? Does it make sense to give them a little bit of a cut so that you're getting both parts of that job? Think about the ways that you can do that, and maybe you do it occasionally throughout the year, but you're getting more sales with the same client base. You're just offering it at a different time. The fourth one there is the idea of tiered pricing. If you have the ability to start to think about, if you are a bronze, silver, or gold client, where can I add value and also add revenue for your business? There's a lot of times where we get stuck in, we have done this the same way over and over and over again for the last 5 years, and we haven't ever looked at these things. There is no reason why you can't go back to the drawing board and be a little bit creative and see what parts of this might be really appealing to clients. You may be surprised that by talking about a bundled service for a quarter of the year, you make far more sales than you did when you were talking about the individual products. So I want you to just take the time to be super creative and figuring out ways that you could create additional revenue just through pricing in general. Anybody have any questions on there? Anybody ducking my eyeballs to try and avoid talking about pricing? Because I know it's hard. Christina, I'm going to take that heart means you're going to change your prices immediately and make more money. Okay, anybody else in the...
My knee-jerk question is, when do you know it's a good time to up those prices?
Ooh, my profit coach self says, if you're asking me that question, it definitely is. You haven't done it. Yeah, like I think if you haven't raised your rates in the last 12 to 18 months, absolutely, it's time to do that. And if it's been longer than that, it's not even a question.
Samantha, it's Patricia. Would it make sense to do just a standard 3% at the beginning of each year, just because of cost of living and inflation?
You definitely can. I'm not opposed to that, but I do think sometimes looking at your increase of rates, you can do it from a cost of living. Everybody's getting very used to that discussion, right? The inflation, et cetera. But also, where are you trying to go with your goals? Would it be a 5% increase is actually going to hit those goals that you're trying to hit? Is that beyond the realm of what people are willing to pay, right? We still are operating in an open market, so we still need to be cognizant of what our competitors are doing or how we're standing apart from our competitors. But I like the idea of making the assessment both on what does the company need for growth and what does the market bear.
Yeah, those are
and finding that combination.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was just thinking at a minimum.
Yes.
It's better
at
than
a
doing
minimum.
nothing.
It is better than doing nothing, but run the numbers, right? Run the numbers and say, like, if we went 3% across the board, that turns into X. But we're still 10%, let's say, lower than the competitors. Okay, well, what if we did 7? Would people still, like, what would be our expectation? Or what if we did 7% on a certain portion of what we're doing and then 3% on something that has a lower margin or whatever that might look like?
I have some input, everybody. My name's Matthew. So we recently increased our base packages up from, I think it was $550. We did a $100 increase to $650 for some digital SEO stuff. But when we did that increase, it wasn't based on percentage. We looked at what we were doing. We asked ourselves, how can we do even better? Right. And then we looked at the numbers and we kind of worked backwards. Right. So we didn't just look at it from a profit perspective or like, how can we charge more because of inflation and we just want to get more money. We asked ourselves, how can we make this worth $100 more? Right. So what we came up with was something pretty simple, but we just improved our communication instead of responding to the client when they would reach out, we proactively reach out to them now on a monthly basis, and we just give them those updates and the small wins along the way. And just that open line of communication has seemed to be worth the increase for a lot of the clients. And we're also doing some technical stuff as well, but I think it's relevant for the conversation.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I want to say both kudos to you for raising your rates. I think that's really good. I also want to say, in most cases with most business owners, when I talk to them and actually look at like, what are you providing and what are you charging, you're still mostly undercharging. So is a place for that evaluation, Matthew. Is fantastic, right? That like, what could we do better? What can we step up? What can we improve in the business overall? And how will that be of value to the clients? But also knowing that oftentimes you could change nothing and still raise your rates. It doesn't necessarily have to be both.
Agreed.
Not to say that we can't all improve, because we 100% can, but just knowing that too, most of us are undercharging for service-based businesses, full stop.
I 100% agree. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, perfect. So let's go to the next. Okay, so here's the action pieces. And again, this PowerPoint is going to be available to you on the NIA site. So you will be able to go back if you're not taking notes or screenshots like a crazy person. Don't worry, I promise you'll get it. So taking action, we want to analyze our pricing structures in terms of your pay. So how much are you wanting to get paid? The cost of providing your service, which is going to be obviously your physical, tangible things that are costing you money, your time, and whatever overall expenses you have just to keep your doors open. Look at that in the evaluation phase of how much are you charging. And this is what I help clients with all the time, is actually coming to a number, and that number shifts over time. Asking clients, this is a big one. And if you can be brave and open to the dialogue, and it's really important that you take this not as a personal affront, but if you ask a client what they wish you provided, what service is not available to them that would go in conjunction with what you do, and just ask the question. We're not saying we're going to provide it, but at least it would give you some insight into the breadcrumbs of the path that you could start following, and ask them where they think you can improve. If you have good relationships with clients and you nurture those communications, those open communications, the way that Matthew just said, especially in a case where it's them saying, hey, we're going to now start updating you every single month with what's happening in the small wins and all of that. And then also at the bottom of that email, you say to them, we're open to your feedback. Is there anything we could have done better in the last 30 days to help you with the growth of XYZ SEO in this case, or whatever you're doing in your business? Be open to the responses and then respond back with, thank you so much. I appreciate your feedback. We will take that into consideration as we move forward to build bigger and better things for you. So you don't necessarily have to implement everything, but if you can ask them what they wish you had that you don't, and where they feel you can improve, those two things can give you really clear direction as to where you can go, especially if you get it from more than one person. Okay, then experiment with different pricing models and monitor your results. So talking about what we talked about on the slide previous, thinking about bundles, thinking about different creative ways that you can start assessing your pricing model and see what the results are. If you put in a bronze, silver, gold package for what you're doing, and all of a sudden you realize people are actually less interested in the bronze, which is your standard, but they're actually interested in that upgrade that they see over there in the silver package, that can be great insight. And you can just make that standard pricing, and maybe you drop the bronze package altogether. So take the time to do the evaluation of these things as you go through, and you'll be surprised what you will uncover. Anybody else have any questions before we move to the next one? No? Okay, cool. Cool. Okay. And here's the big one. You guys are really excited about this. I know everybody is like, yes, can I do a financial assessment? Okay, here's what we need to do. We need to know what of our services or our products are bringing in the most cash and which ones need a boost in sales or need some attention and need to be revised or possibly need to be just dropped altogether because they're not making us any money. We, as entrepreneurs, we get very, very busy in the actual creation of the product themselves and the interaction with clients. And we don't always go back and say, like, is this still working? Does this still make sense in my business? Do I still need to offer all of these things or can I offer less? This is an opportunity to do that. You have to carve the time out as a CEO to be able to do that, okay? It can be hard, but I want you to carve the time out to do that. The next piece is checking your bills and your expenses and figuring out where you can possibly save some money. One of the first things I do with clients is let's look at your expenses because I can often make cuts there that are not detrimental to the business and not detrimental to what you're creating, but the cash flow all of a sudden is just a little less tight than it was the day before. We all have expenses that we're used to paying that aren't necessarily being used. Softwares we've signed up for, programs we figured we would do, any number of different things, advertising strategies that we thought were going to work and they're actually not creating any return on investment, those sorts of things. We sometimes let those slide for months just because we're busy and we're not assessing those things. So taking a look at those with an eye to, do I need you? Are you necessary? And are you creating a return for me in my business is critical. Okay. Make sure you're selling enough. Now that seems kind of obvious, right, guys? Like make sure you're actually selling things. But I also know that there are people in this audience right now that are like, oh, Sam, that doesn't feel good at all. Because some of us are not making enough sales, full stop. And if that's the issue where you're not making enough sales to pay yourself and or to keep your doors open, right? If cash flow is starting to become a very tight thing, month in, month out, month in, month out, I cannot tell you enough that you have to come up with a different plan. You have to figure out how you can increase your sales. I can help you with that. There's lots of people I know within the NIA family that can help with that, but it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to be struggling for sales and struggling to make payroll, that sort of thing. It's time to ask for help if you're in that position. And part of it is making that assessment that we talked about, those first 2 bullet points. And part of it is just maybe you need an objective view to say, hey, have you thought about this or this? Because you're so in it, right? It can be very difficult to make these assessments when you're knee deep in it on your own. It can be lonely. The other thing is making sure you have enough cash to pay the bills. So there comes a point as a business owner where there is cash in the business and we need to be deciding, are we investing this cash? Are we reinvesting it into equipment or people or software, technology, that sort of thing? Are we keeping it in the rainy day fund? What are we starting to do? And so this is where you want to start really working with somebody as an advisor to your finances to help you both with your personal finances, but then also with your business finances and making sure that they're working together. We want to start to have some liquidity in the business that is not there for the month-to-month turnover of cash, okay? The last and most important part is what money targets do you want to hit next quarter? We are almost at the end of March now. It is important that you keep those goals front and center. Most of us at the very beginning of the year were very clear. We want to make $200,000 in our business this year, and we're very excited and we know exactly what it would work to do that. How many of us have gone back to the drawing board and said, like, okay, based on the reality of sales for January, February, now March, are my numbers still there? Am I doing more than I anticipated each month? Am I doing less than I'm anticipating? And if less, then how do I switch things up? What do I need to do? Let's do that at the beginning of Q2 rather than waiting until the end of the year, right? Too many of us don't look at our goals again until we're like November. And then at that point, it's a mad scramble or just to throw our hands up and we'll wait to 2025. So If that's you, again, I want you to all the time be looking at what we're doing, okay? Anybody else have any thoughts with the financial assessment? Ooh, dead silence. I'm going to assume you guys are all doing your financial assessments monthly. I want to see evidence of said thing. All right. We'll come back to that. Don't worry. Okay. So taking action in this, book a money date with your business. Yeah, that really uncomfortable one that you don't want to do. Sit down, actually block out time in your calendar and do that, right? Sit down and evaluate those numbers. If you need help with that, please book consult with me or with any of the other kind of financial experts that we have within NIA. This will make the difference. If you are watching your numbers and understanding your numbers, even if right now your numbers look abysmal. I know that feels really hard. I know that it feels very difficult when you are in that situation where you're like, I don't know how to get more sales. I can't seem to find more clients. Other people seem to be doing this better than I am. And I don't want to raise my hand and say I'm really struggling because that feels terrible. I will guarantee to you that in this room, anybody who's been in business for any length of time has been in that position. We all have. Okay, so continuing to stay in that position is the only thing you would be doing wrong at this point. Get some help. Get somebody to help you. Get somebody to answer your questions and make clear what your next steps are so that you don't have to stay in that place. Making profit and finance a priority in your business is absolutely critical to long-term success. And we want to get to that point where we have time freedom and financial freedom, and we are actually seeing a thriving life personally from our business. Okay. So just to kind of top that off, I want to tell you guys a little bit of a success story of a client that I've had recently. And she will be the first to tell you that she's a lawyer. She is running her own law firm. She's kind of just getting it up off the ground. She's doing it a little bit differently than a traditional lawyer would. And one of the things she despises is the money part of things, right? So not unlike what we've been talking about today. And she kind of was just avoiding it, right? She didn't want to have to call clients for bills that weren't getting paid. She didn't want to have conversations about invoices that were outstanding or clients that had moved through their entire retainer and not done anything. And in one of our coaching sessions, I had suggested to her in my ass-kicking, loving way that she had no choice. She had to do this. She was struggling with revenue in February in particular, but January a little as well. And I'm like, make the calls. And she was able to, in 4 days, generate $13,500 from current clients that either paid their bills and actually, settled up, or clients that needed to go to the next step. And she was just hesitating because she didn't know if they would be unhappy if she asked for more money. The vast majority of your clients feel the same way when it comes to if you have outstanding invoices. If you have stuff where you have used all the time that you've allocated for a client, but they still have more work to do, you can ask for more money. You can come back to the table and say, yes, that project is done to this point. Everything that you asked me to do from here on out actually will require more financial commitment. Okay? So just as a reminder of that you can be in that situation of struggling and feeling like I'm not making any money in a month. And then a couple of conversations with clients can create a 5-figure month. Okay, that's possible to you as well, as much as it is to her. Okay, those are my tips, my tricks, my suggestions. I want to open the floor at this point so that you guys can get some coaching if you want coaching, or ask me any questions around what we were talking about today, but it's open forum. So take advantage of that.
If you have anything you'd like to say, please feel free to unmute, or you can load up the chat. You could also, I believe, hold the space bar button if you want to chime in.
I have a question about the profit first system, if you've had any success implementing that, and would you recommend it?
Yeah, I absolutely do. I am a huge believer in particular with the concept of taking kind of your revenue minus your profit equals what you have to spend on expenses. That is a huge portion of his kind of philosophy, Mike Michalowicz. And I think just having that mental switch in your brain of I pay myself and then I build my business on what is remaining, instead of the other way around where it's like I get whatever crumbs are left at the end of the day, which as business owners know, it's next to nothing. So that piece of profit first is huge. And then spreading out and separating your money into separate bank accounts, I have found to be incredibly effective. And I've got, I don't know, handfuls and handfuls of clients that have implemented the same. So I'm a huge fan. Do you have any specific questions? Have you read the book? Where are you at?
Yeah, I read the book and I went as far as like, I guess there's this bank called Relay that he endorses. So like I kind of set up an account with that and I have like the different bank accounts set up. I've been kind of like, I don't know, maybe we can talk about it later.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. There on the next slide, there's a QR code and you can find me through NIA as well. I'll be able to track you down. But yeah, I can, if you're getting to that point and then need help with the next step, I can help you with that. Just, even deciding like what portions, what percentages of revenue and things like that go where, I can give you a hand.
Thank you.
Got a question in the chat, two of them. First one, what's the number one tip for marketing and lead generation? What you got?
Just in general? That's a big, broad thing. Okay. Yeah. Marketing and lead gen. I think my number one tip is visibility. So you have to decide where you're going to be visible, and then you need to go all in. And you need to go in until you are sick to death of your own messaging, until you are tired of saying it and thinking everybody hates hearing you. You're not saying it enough because they're not seeing it as frequently as you think they are. So like ad nauseum, you are saying the same things over and over again. I am Sam Varner. I am the profit coach. I help small business owners make more money. I help them generate 5-figure paychecks and scale their business. And you can find me on my podcast and or Instagram. You need to be like that. And you need to be like that until, your sister is telling you to stop. And even then you keep going because it is social media or even in-person stuff. It's less frequent than you think. People need to hear it 7 to 14 times before it resonates, right? So more is better. More is more.
Right on. Next question coming up from Marie. I'm curious if you have a specific number or guideline on number of offerings that are good to have.
Ooh, and I can.
Yes, please.
I was going to say I can be more. Marie. I can give you more details on that. I am a holistic wellness coach, so I'm transitioning from straight personal training to also offering wellness coaching. My 5-year goal is to be completely shifted over to wellness coaching and no longer doing any personal training. So I recently closed the personal training side of my business to new clients. I raised my rates. Unfortunately, only one client decided to quit training with me. Everybody else was like, "Oops, great! I'd love to pay more." Okay, and which is fine. But eventually, I want to drop that piece altogether. So I'm kind of refining the coaching side. I have one class an 8-week course that I teach. I have a new one that I have developed that I am going to be starting for the first time next week. I usually give workshops in promotion of the classes as opposed to just giving workshops to give workshops as an offering. So they're more of part of my launch with the classes. And I am also now want to start giving retreats as another piece of my business, because one, I think it complements the coaching very well. And I just love going on retreat. So if I'm leading it and getting to be on retreat and make money, it just seems like a win-win for me. So,
yeah. My thought is I don't think that there's a number of offers that necessarily is good or bad, but I always like the idea of getting one offer up, solid, reliable, and then moving to the next and then moving to the next. Because otherwise you're trying to market multiple prongs and it becomes kind of muddy when you're like, if you're talking about the retreat, let's say you're doing it every 6 months. So you're talking about that with a long launch schedule, because of course it's a bigger commitment and people need lots of love on that. And then you've got the 8-week courses, and then you've got the workshops. It becomes, people are like, wait, so does she do wellness? Wait, does she do retreats? Does she? And it makes it hard for you to promote that. It's not impossible, but it separates the amount of work you can put and effort you can put all towards one thing. So what you could do is kind of have, I like the idea of a workshop to launch your 8-week course. So if you create that and continue with that until you get to the point where you're like, okay, I've now had 32 people go through the 8-week course. Now I have an audience with which to promote the retreats. They're already bought in on who you are and how you coach, and they love you. And you will have that out of 32, you'll probably have like 16 people that are like, really love you, right? The other ones like you, they really love you. Those are now who you're going to promote that retreat to. And that retreat is probably going to be 8 people. So in your whole email, all of your contacts, you still may get 1 or 2 that come out of the blue, but most of the time they're kind of coming up the ladder of expense and or value for you.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. Anybody else?
Yes, Samantha. Hi, my name is Bill Ballmeyer. I have a photography business, and so a lot of times my pricing, I quote my pricing, but then people are like, whoa, they want to spend that much money. And so how do you combat, like, I guess, the knowledge that that's the correct pricing, but they're reluctant to pull the trigger on that?
Yeah. When you're talking to clients, how are you structuring it? Are you structuring it where you've got kind of like a session price and then they're purchasing the prints after that, or which way are you doing it?
Yeah, so it's typically like the session price plus a certain number of digital files that come with that. And then if they want to purchase additional prints after that, then there's a cost per file.
And upfront. Okay. And can you give me an idea of your price point? Like, what would it look like if I wanted to do family photos and I wanted to walk away with 15 photos, for instance?
Yeah. So the like an hour session is like $500, and typically that comes with 5 to 10 photos. If they wanted to get more than that, they typically are. I'm thinking the price range is $25 to $50 a file. So you're looking at $600, $700 for a shoot. And then that includes, whether I'm on site or in studio, after processing, uploading, and a lot of extra, just a lot more stuff that goes on than just taking the photo.
Yeah. Okay. First off, I think your pricing is fine. I think your pricing is fine. How are you finding, where do you think you lose clients in that talk? Is it as soon as you talk about the numbers, or like what point are you like, oh, I had them and then I lost them?
Yeah, so they show interest when I talk with them about it. So like maybe doing a shot of their kid or something like that. And then they go, well, how much would that cost? And I said, well, I have a package that's $500. It gets this many files. And it's kind of like, oh, well, yeah, okay, great. I'll think about it and that kind of thing. So it's really the cost that once I quote the number, they kind of start to shy away.
Yeah. Okay. One of the things I would do is see if you can ask a couple of questions before you get to the number. So they say to you, whatever, you run into these people and they've got kids running around and they want a family shot. So you say to them, they say to you like, oh, you do photography. That's great. Like, would you do my family? How much would that cost? And you're like, oh yeah, I have a package for that. Where do you see the photo going? Is this like, are you looking to replace the one above your mantle? Or do you want to do a gallery wall for your family? Like what are you looking to do? They're going to hopefully have an answer to that. Oh, I don't know, maybe. Because then you can come back with saying, hey, listen, I think the package that includes like 5 to 10 shots is more than adequate. You'll get some great ones with you and each individual kid. yourself and your husband, whatever you're going to do.
Sure.
But also you're going to get that big picture that's going to go up above the fireplace. And that's the one that everybody sees when they come in the house. Paint the picture a little bit more. See if you can pull out for them the emotional level of that, because I know in most cases that sticker shock is always, people are always like, whoa, like they go to look at a TV at Best Buy and they're like, what, it's $1,000.
Yeah.
We actually don't care that it's $1,000. We want to watch the football game and we want it to be clear and we want it to fit that space in the living room so that when our friends come over, we don't look like we have that 32-inch TV nobody can see. So you want to just pull the emotion out of them there and see if you can get just a little bit more of their buy-in of the value, not necessarily the cost, and then go that way. There is a book, I'm just looking over, I don't see it. There is a book that I read a couple of years ago that is actually specific to photography businesses. And it talks about there's a low end and a high end, and there's no longer a middle ground.
Sure.
But the way that she talks about marketing photography in general was really good. If you pop your email in the chat, I will save that and I will go find the book because I can't see it from here, which may or may not be my eyes, or maybe the book's not on the shelf. But I'll send it over to you and you can take a little peek at it. But it was high value in terms of marketing yourself as a photographer.
Great. I'll put my email in there. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. I'll send that to you right after we're done here today.
All right. Okay. We have a couple questions in the chat. Actually, one from Prem. For sales and marketing, what is your top 3 basic skills that has worked for you? And inverse, what's one strategy that certainly did not work and why?
Ooh, in sales and marketing.
Top 3 basic skills.
Basic skills. Okay. Number 1 basic skill, being able to say what your costs are confidently, without stuttering, without feeling foolish, without having it feel weird. I want everybody to get to the point where they can say the price of working with them like they say their phone number. Okay. So like you tell the pizza delivery guy where your house is. You're like, my house number is 2822. You want to say that working with me costs X amount of money, and we just say it smooth. That's first. So the way that I suggest people figure out how to do that, if you haven't heard me say this before, is every time you go to wash your hands when you come out of the bathroom, you say it in the mirror to yourself like a weirdo. And it's totally fine. You're usually by yourself. If you're in a public bathroom, somebody's going to ask you why you're doing it, and then you can share your business. So get confident in saying your pricing and standing calm and firm in your pricing, but without urgency. If you don't make the sale, you actually don't care. They're not the right fit, and really leaning into that can be important. So
can I bounce off of that?
Yeah.
Okay. So literally 10 minutes before this, I was giving my price to a prospect, and okay. I tried to approach it with that confidence, but I add kind of a caveat, which is like, okay, my price is $100 an hour to work with me. The way that I typically price things out is by the day. So an 8-hour day, look at it like that. Does that kind of have hair on it? What do you think?
Do you feel like you need to offer an explanation? And do you feel like you need to
I feel like I'm kind of priming them for, like it'll be a, I feel like I need to kind of prepare them for, what's to come here. So if I'm charging, 2 days of work, this is why, this is basically how I'm looking at it. Right. Okay. Yeah.
I don't think it's bad to say it that way, but I think then you set the expectation up that you're going to spend 8 full hours doing the work. Now, you might spend 8 full hours doing the work, right? Or 16 if you're working with them for 2 days.
Yeah. I could do half a day as well. I'm not gonna.
Yeah. So I think you can say I work with clients in either half day or full day sessions, and it's $100 an hour. So a full day would be $800. A half day would be $400.
Okay.
You could say that.
All right. Yeah. You need to give this guy 2 more basic skills and then one that doesn't work.
Okay. 2 more basic skills. Get really confident. We kind of talked about this before, but back to that, really confident about who you are, who you help, and what you provide. What do you actually create for people? that they are looking to solve. So take time and write down 10 different ways that you help people, and what are you actually solving for them in those ways. In most cases, you're solving the same problem 10 different ways, right? With 10 different skills, with 10 different pieces of knowledge that you already have. So get confident in saying that. Get confident in saying how much you charge. Basic marketing and sales skills. Do it before you're ready. That's the other thing, is be brave and do it before you're ready. You do not need a fancy website. You do not need a fully formed CRM. You do not need a perfect landing page in order to make sales. You need to be able to talk to a human being that is looking for your solution, and you can sell to them, and you can send them your Zelle or your PayPal or whatever, right? We hesitate and stop ourselves often. So be brave, go forward before you're ready, and then you can build the plane as you're flying. I promise. Most of us do it that way. Things that haven't worked for me. Oh, there's lots of things that I've tried that haven't worked. For me, thinking about things for too long doesn't work. So I am a very quick start kind of personality. I am like, I randomly had this thought, I'm going to try it. And if I hum and I haw and I try and think about all the things, I never actually take action. So being bold and just being like, worst case scenario, it doesn't work. And we've learned one more way it doesn't work. And then we're on to the next way it doesn't work, or the way it does work. But being willing to try things and fail, be willing to fail. So that's another thing that does work, but like I've failed a lot, and it eventually works. But you have to put yourself out there. That kind of answers it. That's kind of like an interview answer, right? Where it's like, my greatest weakness is, does that answer your question?
Brandon, want to speak up?
Sorry, what was that question? Last.
Does it answer your question?
Does it answer your question?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
I had one more question earlier in the session, which was, you were saying to use the same words your client uses. How do you go about doing that?
I do it in a lot of different ways. So I will do it where if you and I are on a consult and you book a call with me and we're having a conversation. As we're having a conversation, I will make sure to make notes. So if you use the words, I'm overwhelmed, I'm so tired in my business, I can't find clients anywhere, for instance. When then we're talking about the solution I offer, my response is going to be, I help you with overwhelm and finding clients and getting to that point in your business. So I'm regurgitating right back to you the language that you recognize and are familiar with and identify your problems as.
Perfect.
So I do it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I do it there. And I also look at testimonials. Or reviews, and they can be good reviews or bad reviews, but going back and seeing what clients are saying about you gives you an idea of what they really liked or what stood out to them or what perhaps was a gap that you can backfill.
Well, that's great insight. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
One of the things that I've done over the last several years is do an exit interview with every single client and asking them those specific questions. What did I do well? What did you like? What areas did I fall down in? What areas do you wish I would have done more? Was it in communication? Whatever it might be. And I found those to be very helpful, not only in solidifying the areas that I want to concentrate in my business, but it gives me a help as to how I can improve what I'm doing. And some of them have been watershed kind of events. They've been very, very helpful.
Yeah, it's so valuable to be open and willing to listen to that kind of feedback. It can sometimes feel not great, right? Because clients sometimes haven't said anything up till then. And then they share stuff with you and you're like, I could have fixed that probably, but you didn't tell me. And also I feel a little bit bad that I didn't do it. The other thing that I have found as a trick, and this is not my trick, this is, I think, a Mike Michalowicz one from the Pumpkin Plan book, but he did a number of interviews with clients to say, what was the thing that the company that used to do this for you didn't do? What's the thing that really got your goat when you were dealing with the last people that were doing this? And so he's already got the business. He's not looking to sell them, but he's looking for like, where's the thing you definitely don't want me to do? And I thought that was a really smart way of also uncovering areas and pitfalls that you want to be sure to avoid.
A quick comment on that as well. It helps you to identify what the clients want you to do as well.
Yeah.
If you look at the inverse.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Is that about the Pumpkin Plan?
It is the Pumpkin Plan. Yep. Mike Michalowicz as well. He's the same guy as the Profit First.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm a big believer in his books. If you're looking for reference books on business growth in general, they're very well written and they're very concise and they're easy reads. So if you're not somebody who wants to read all the time business books, that's fair. But they're worthwhile reading for sure. Okay, perfect. Anybody else have anything?
Yeah, right on.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to just okay, so we've kind of said, so these are our three things, right? Is enhancing our customer experience, optimizing pricing, and financial assessment. So taking the time to do those things moving forward will absolutely create more profit in your business, and will do it if you take the time to do these things. You'll see a return on that fairly quickly. Okay. All right. Now here's the part y'all need to know, right? How do you get a hold of me? How do you reach out and say, hey, I have questions. I didn't want to put my hand up in the public, or, hey, that's kind of interesting. I want to hear more about what you do. Take a screenshot, get on that QR code on your phone, and book a call with me. I am very, very, maybe let's call it focused, but I want business owners to be successful and profitable. That is the reason I have this business. It's the reason I do so many of these sorts of things where I'm speaking and hopefully providing a lot of value, so that when you guys leave, you're not just like, oh yeah, she has a business and I guess I need to hire her to get help. I'm hoping that you're leaving having things that you can tangibly take away and really start implementing in your business right away. But I also believe that you need more help than what you have probably right now. There are too many business owners that aren't making enough money, and this is a solvable problem. So I really want to encourage you to take advantage. The reason you spend the money to be part of NIA is to get access to all of the knowledge that is here in this group, in all of its facets, right? In all of our businesses. And I want to just encourage you to take advantage of hopping on a call with me. I'm not going to hard sell you into coaching, but I will give you some insight into your particular business and what can be game changing in terms of the direction that you're headed in. Okay. And if you want coaching, I'll help you with that too. Obviously, I'm not crazy, but I am here to help regardless.
Right on. Well, thank you, Sam. Oh, you're not done yet. Keep going.
One last thing. So this is just your homework. Book a call with me, okay? And I'll help you make a plan. Make a money date with your business before the end of the month. So you have 4 days. Chop, chop. You need to get it done. And then find some level of accountability for whatever today you've decided is your action that you want to do, that you want to change in your business. Doesn't matter what it is, but get some accountability, whether that is a friend or social media or myself, doesn't matter. Just get yourself in that position so that you can actually achieve those goals that you're trying to achieve. Okay. Now I'm done. Janelle.
Right on, Samantha. Thank you so much for being a part of this and your presentation today. It was wonderful. I just want to remind everybody that on the first, third, and fourth Wednesday of every month, we are going to be doing our Network with the Nations, our Sales Mastery, and our speaker series. Next week, our founder, Scott Talley, founder of Network in Action, will be presenting. So we definitely think you all should show up. And yeah, again, thank you for being here, and we hope you all have a great day. Thank you again, Samantha.
You're welcome. Have a good day, you guys.
All right, take care, everybody.